From rocket-powered fighters to Mach 3 prototypes and Cold War giants, these forgotten aircraft pushed aviation to its limits, but never entered service. This is the Bi-1, the Soviet Union's first rocket-powered aircraft. It first flew in 1942 using a single liquid-fueled rocket engine burning nitric acid and kerosene. Built for rapid point defense, it carried one 20mm SH-vac cannon. Although 9 examples were completed, extremely short endurance, dangerous engine failures, and the arrival of turbojets ended the program before production. Kostikov 302. Originally designed as a mixed-power interceptor combining a rocket engine with wing-mounted ramjets, the project was later simplified into the rocket-only 302P. An unpowered prototype completed numerous TOW flights, but the powered version never flew after political upheaval halted development, and the program was cancelled before completion. Polikarpov Malyutka. Designed as a lightweight rocket interceptor, it featured a plywood fuselage, metal flying surfaces, and a powerful Glushko rocket engine armed with two 23mm VIA cannons. Intended for extremely fast climbs and short interception missions, prototype construction stopped after designer Nikolai Polikarpov died in 1944, and the aircraft never reached flight testing. Mikoyan-Gurevich I-270. Developed after World War II from captured German rocket interceptor concepts, the I-270 was built as a high-speed point defense fighter armed with two 23mm cannons. 2 prototypes entered testing in 1946 and 1947, but both were lost in landing accidents, while advancing jet fighters and surface-to-air missiles quickly made rocket interceptors obsolete. Sukhoi Su-9, Su-11, and Su-13. Sukhoi's first family of jet fighters first flew in 1946, powered initially by RD-10 turbojets before later engine upgrades were proposed. Although each version improved performance, they remained slower than rival Soviet designs. None entered production, but these aircraft laid the foundation for Sukhoi's future interceptor development. Mikoyan-Gurevich I-320. Built for a long-range, all-weather interceptor requirement, the I-320 first flew in 1949 with 2 RD-45F turbojets and twin 37mm cannons. Designed to compete against Lavochkin and Sukhoi proposals, it performed well during testing, but changing Soviet Air Force requirements shifted attention toward the Yak-25, ending the project. Sukhoi Su-15, 1949. Unrelated to the later production Su-15 Flagon, this prototype featured swept wings, tandem-mounted turbojets, and a pressurized cockpit. It achieved high subsonic speeds during flight testing, but severe vibration caused the prototype to crash on its 39th flight. The entire program was cancelled shortly afterward. Yakovlev Yak-50. Developed for the same interceptor competition, the Yak-50 used a single turbojet engine and exceeded Mach 1 during a test dive. Despite promising performance, Soviet authorities selected none of the competing prototypes. Instead, improved versions of the MiG-17 fulfilled the interceptor requirement, leaving the Yak-50 as an experimental aircraft. Lavochkin La-200 and La-200B. This twin-engine, two-seat all-weather interceptor became the only competitor to successfully complete state acceptance trials. A redesigned radar-equipped La-200B followed with further improvements, and the aircraft was even considered for production. However, official approval never arrived, and both versions remained limited to the prototype stage. Lavochkin La-190. Designed as a swept-wing interceptor with a planned Korshin airborne radar system, the La-190 represented another attempt to improve Soviet all-weather interception capability. Before the radar installation was completed, development priorities shifted elsewhere, and the project was quietly abandoned without progressing beyond the prototype phase. Article 468. Developed by OKB-2 as a rocket-powered point defense interceptor, Article 468 featured a compact delta-wing design intended for rapid climbs to extreme altitude under ground-controlled guidance. Planned to intercept targets at speeds approaching Mach 2, the ambitious project was cancelled in 1951, leaving only wind tunnel models as evidence of its existence. Sukhoi P-1. Developed as a two-seat interceptor, the P-1 first flew in 1957 and was powered by a single Lyulka Al-7F turbojet. Designed to approach Mach 2 while operating at very high altitude, it also inspired a proposed twin-engine P-2 variant. However, changing Soviet priorities ended both projects before either entered production. Mikoyan-Gurevich I-3, I-7, and I-75. This interceptor family evolved through several increasingly advanced prototypes, culminating in the radar-equipped I-75. Powered by an AL-7F1 engine and armed with two K-8 air-to-air missiles, it competed directly against Sukhoi's T-43. Despite impressive speed and advanced interception systems, the program was cancelled in 1959 after losing the competition. Lavochkin La-250 Anaconda. Lavochkin's final aircraft project was a large twin-engine interceptor built around the massive K-15 guided missile system. 5 prototypes were completed, with the first flying in 1956. Persistent technical problems and several accidents delayed development, and both the aircraft and its missile system were abandoned by 1959. Yakovlev Yak-27. Derived from the Yak-25, these supersonic interceptor variants introduced higher performance, missile armament, and even a rocket-assisted high-altitude version. Although testing showed they met many operational requirements, the Sukhoi Su-9 demonstrated better overall capability, preventing the Yak-27 interceptor family from reaching production. Sukhoi T-37. Designed to satisfy a requirement for a Mach 3 interceptor capable of operating at extreme altitude, the T-37 was one of Sukhoi's most ambitious Cold War projects. Construction of the prototype was nearly complete when the program was cancelled, and the unfinished airframe was ordered destroyed before flight testing could begin. Mikoyan-Gurevich YE-150 family. Including the YE-150, YE-152, YE-152A, and record-breaking YE-152M, this family pushed Soviet interceptor performance beyond Mach 2.5 while testing advanced missile systems and radar technology. Although several world speed records were achieved, Mikoyan shifted development toward the YE-155P, which later entered production as the legendary MiG-25. Tupolev Tu-28A. Developed as an improved successor to the production Tu-128, the Tu-28A was designed to enhance long-range interception with upgraded performance and weapons. Although it promised better capability for defending the Soviet Union's vast northern airspace, the project never advanced beyond the proposal stage as development priorities shifted elsewhere. Tupolev Tu-148. Conceived as the most advanced member of the Tu-128 family, the Tu-148 evolved into a multi-role aircraft capable of interception and strike missions. Inspired by changing Cold War requirements, it offered greater flexibility than earlier designs. Even so, the ambitious project never progressed beyond design studies and was eventually abandoned. MiG-31M Foxhound-B. First flown in 1985, the MiG-31M represented a major upgrade of the MiG-31 with improved engines, modern avionics, increased fuel capacity, and longer-range missile capability. State trials successfully demonstrated engagements at extreme range, but the collapse of the Soviet Union and severe budget reductions ended the program before production could begin. Mikoyan-Izdeliye 701. Conceived during the early 1990s, Izdeliye 701 was planned as a completely new heavyweight interceptor to replace the cancelled MiG-31M. Designed to counter future stealth bombers and other advanced aerial threats, it promised greater range, speed, and sensor capability. Severe economic difficulties prevented the project from progressing beyond the design stage. PAK-DP. Proposed as Russia's next-generation long-range interceptor, the PAK-DP program aims to eventually replace the MiG-31 fleet with a faster and more capable aircraft. Public reports describe concepts featuring extreme speed, long-range interception, and advanced missile systems. However, as covered by your provided source material, it remains a paper project with no confirmed flying prototype.